can you get more visibility and feel confident when you are taking the stage? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome to Women Leaders on the Move, a Her C-Suite radio podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Benamou, and every week I learn right along with you, listening and talking to amazing leaders like my guest today. I'm also the founder of Her C-Suite, a portfolio career network where we help women build what's next and live your best career ever, wherever you are in this phase of your life. I hope you'll visit us at hercsuite.com to learn more. Today's guest is Christina Vidovich, and I am really excited for you to hear her journey and how she transitioned her career into a new offering to help women. Christina is the founder of Women Getting Visible, a global movement, and the leader in visibility conferences for women founders. Her story is fascinating about how she went from ballroom dancing to doing this incredible work of helping women in high impact events and media. And I cannot wait for you to hear the transformation that happens in those programs. So let's get started with this conversation now. Christina, I'm so excited to welcome you to Women Leaders on the Move today. Thanks for being on the show.
Woo-woo! I'm so happy to be here, Natalie. Thank you.
I am so excited for our listeners to hear your story because I think what you're doing and how you've accelerated and are starting to do things in a really innovative way is going to resonate and give people ideas. But before we get started with that, can you give us a snapshot that brings us to this moment today about you and all the things?
Women Getting Visible is not quite a year old yet. And it has been this beautiful snowball of women that I've met along my path this last year and even before with my other podcasts who are ready to step up, get themselves in the spotlight, find out who they are and what their messaging is to get more visible. Before that, before I started putting women on stages, I am a professional ballroom dancer. So I put dancers on stages before this. So it was a perfect transition into what I'm doing now.
Well, it's an interesting transition. And I think people don't always connect dots, but I love that you did because being on stage can manifest in so many different ways. And you were able to, kind of say these two things have synergy, which I love. You are doing amazing work for women. And tell us a little bit about that. What does that look like to help women step into their power of being on stage?
It's so fascinating because, the first thing people think about when they think about visibility is being on the stage, but it really starts from the inner work, the inner confidence. And so when we start to get a clarity of our message, what is it that we want to tell the world? And I love this because recently I had the conversation with a friend of mine and she said, if I had one last talk to give, and that was it for my career, what would that talk be? I went, ooh, I've got to sit with this one because that is just so juicy. And it really even caused me to think about that. I'm going, okay, so in helping other women find their clarity of asking that same question, what is that one message that if this was the last thing that you could share, what would it be?
Wow. I don't know. I'm pausing thinking, wow, I don't know. So did you have something come to you in that moment?
Well, it's fascinating because it goes back to where the visibility work came from. And it has been a lifelong what made me say, at a moment, from things like a picture on a wall of a man and a woman, with their wedding day, Mr. and Mrs. Charles Smith. Okay, he's Charles Smith. Who's she? Already that day one becoming invisible. And so that's one of those stories to me that just like, whoo, how can we look at our history as women and how many times have we been erased, not talked about, and assumed somebody else's name, and we've lost our history. We've lost that thread within us. Now, having a background, multicultural, I'm half Croatian, Filipino with Spanish as well. In Spain, you give the children 2 last names. So they do have their mother and their father's last names. Now, does it get lost somewhere? Yes, because that'd be a lot of names to be keeping, just like royalty, how they have, 5 first names followed by. But it's really looking at, okay, where do we want to define and what do we want to remember about our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers? And what are their stories? So sometimes, yeah, it's just a name, but even more so the legacy that we're leaving behind in these stories and how we can keep passing them on. So it's like, how do I turn that frustration into something even better? And so that is why I really started podcasting because it was an opportunity just like we're doing here, to share our voice, share our stories of other people, and in particular for me, other women, so that one day our children, our grandchildren, our nieces can listen to these conversations and go, oh my gosh, and relate and suddenly go, oh, you were my age once too. The stories and you're lived in the moment, what I can learn from those things. Yeah, they're so important.
So many things are coming to mind because I waited to change my name until my youngest daughter was 6. And it was, both my girls were in elementary school. And I felt like, okay, I've got to change my name. Right. But I still hung on to my maiden name for business. So everyone already knew me as Benamou. I've kept Benamou, and then both my girls have Benamou as middle name. So, kind of building on what you said, and it's true, you don't realize how much is in our names that we might feel either good, like, I loved taking, having my husband's name now, but I kept my middle name. I mean, my last name is my middle name, so I kept it too. But the idea of story and not having it be lost is so powerful. And I think women's voices, especially in the environment that we're in today, it's more important than ever to have them be heard. And this idea that you're on is you're going around and letting people tell their stories. You're not staying in one place. Tell us about that experience. And it's amazing. I love the model that you're doing and what you're doing.
I travel. So let me start right there. So I love to be in other places all the time. It's funny when I hear people say, oh, it's so good to be home. To me, home is where you are because my heart is with me. So my home is where my heart is and it's on travel. So being able to talk to women, I mean, think about it when you're on vacation and you have that conversation with a stranger or somebody else on vacation, there's these moments of joy that stay with you. So being able to create those in other places with other women. For example, we have a conference coming up in Minneapolis. Now, here's a city, I mean, it's been in the news for other reasons, but why not bring some joy to have women come together in a room and say, let's celebrate each other. Let's have this moment because I don't know what it's like, the gal who's helping me put together to grow up on a farm. I grew up in the suburbs, in the Midwest in Cleveland. Very different, story than she had. And then other girls who've grown up in the city life. What is it like? So we have all these stories, and then women who fly around the country to come and share their stories. One of my speakers from another conference who grew up in upstate New York, ended up in Tucson, flew out to DC to come and share the story about being a burn victim that happened to her when she was 2 years old. And she wrote the book, Be Visible, Becoming Visible. I'm like, oh, I've got to know who this woman is. And this whole story is about our lives, what it was like from our childhood. As someone who's grown up with one of my parents immigrant, my grandparents immigrant, such a different experience than someone who's been here for generations. Why I felt like the weird kid at school because sometimes I didn't eat what the other kids ate, or I dressed a little differently than the other kids did, but it was just part of cultural bringing up. And to be able to be an adult now and share those stories comfortably versus the weird feeling kid and teenager going, do I fit in? But now being an adult and being able to embrace that and hearing those stories of going, oh, we're not alone. We're not alone in those stories. And then meeting other people who have similar stories and hearing about how their grandmothers were and the traditions that they have and how today they still carry some of those things on. It's so much fun to go around because Minneapolis is different from where I am in Washington, D.C., from where you are in Chicago, from Tucson, Arizona. We have such different experiences. And how cool is it for us to come together and share and then find our common thread?
Hey, it's Natalie. I wanted to pop in and invite you to check out our programs, including Next to Lead AI and Next Career. If you're trying to figure out where to go and navigate next, we've got you covered at hercsuite.com. Check it out today. Yeah, you're weaving a fabric. You're weaving a beautiful fabric across the country, is what I'm envisioning. And this powerful storytelling is not only just a legacy thing so that our family and people know about it, but giving women their authentic voice, especially when they may have felt like you did growing up that it wasn't okay and you had to kind of feel like you had to disappear to fit in. And now you can kind of fully come in. And I think especially now, authenticity is more important than ever. And no AI or anything like that can replicate the story, the human story, and the human experience. That's still our own. And you can't ask, well, tell me what my human experience is, because what does a machine know about that, right? When I do networking events, I always say, "Well, tell me something Google doesn't know about you." And that was before now. It'd probably be a little tweak like Gemini or ChatGPT, but really, what you're doing is you're letting people, have that light. You're not doing the whole thing on your own. Can you share how you got the idea to do that and what it is that you're doing in these different cities? Because I think it's really remarkable.
So, one of the things I do is partnership workshops where we bring three women together and we bring our networks together and we all share our stories and our geniuses. So, my story of visibility, I can go to every different level from the inner work of visibility, finding confidence, to being out there speaking on stages, to showing up on social media, on your LinkedIn, on podcasts. And then there's some other realms that I am in as well where somebody else can bring, oh my goodness, I'm in marketing. I want to share my world with marketing. Oh, I'm a woman who really works on the inner work of, how do we get our level up? So there's all different places where, we can stay in our lane, but then work together to create something. And I'm even doing that with the conferences now as well, because yes, I have a vision and I have a dream, but it's nothing without other people in the room together. And so that is part of what I've been building and just woo, steamrolling on in and having fun with it.
Putting on a conference, having done it my whole career, is a lot. It's a lift. And finding other people that have synergy with you and they have different groups and they're local. So you're bringing your zone of genius into a place that where there's local support. And that has got to be a great experience. What have you found about that that works really well that you're finding as opposed to you going in, setting everything up and meeting the people, arranging the hotel, the person that lives there knows it better than obviously coming in. So I'm imagining the person in Minneapolis. I know you're going to do Indianapolis. So what was that like for you to be able to partner local with other people?
It is absolutely such joy because to me, first of all, I respect I'm in your neighborhood. So I'm going to listen to the advice first and foremost. Cause yeah, I could look at a Google map and put my finger down and going, this looks like a good place, and look at some reviews, but it's not the same as someone who actually knows, oh, if people are going to stay, here's something we can do afterwards. So they have the real insider, look into living there, as well as they're going to tell their network. And I'm not coming empty-handed as I show up. I'm bringing people with me. So I'm bringing my network. I literally, if anyone knows me and I ask anybody who wants to friend me on LinkedIn, do is to come along and join us because if you're an hour or two, you can come in into the city and wherever we are and see what we're doing. And I will reach out. I literally look at my LinkedIn and I go, let's invite all these people. And I do one-to-one links literally with people and go, hey, we're doing this here. You want to come? What's the worst somebody's going to say? No. Well, they didn't know about it until you told them about it. So now you're giving them the opportunity to say yes and to come and do this wonderful event with you to learn something and even the opportunity to speak. So yeah, I love doing it with other people because it makes it more fun. It's like a sleepover, but during the day.
I love that ideology. It's like a sleepover, but I also think when you don't tell people that exclusion makes them not be able to have the opportunity to step into something beautiful. So I want to share with all our listeners out there because I hear oftentimes entrepreneurs, I don't like selling myself or I don't like doing this. You're looking at it maybe not in the best light for yourself. And the way you've shared is the beautiful way of saying, what's the worst that can happen? They don't come, but they weren't coming already. So you know different than where you are. But what happens if they do? What happens if you get to see that transformation? What are some of the things that you have seen? Because I know you've shared that with me. I would love for our audience to hear what happens when they get that visibility for the first time. Maybe it's someone that hasn't had it or forgot she had it. What have you seen in the room and seen what's happened in those events?
Oh, it is this beautiful warmth and transition. When you step into one of our conferences, one of our workshops, it's one of those simply said, you might not know anybody when you walk in, but you're going to walk out with a whole room of friends because that's the synergy we bring because every voice is important. Everyone has the opportunity to speak and share their piece. And learn from other women because that's part of the conversation. It's a two-way, it's not just a one-way. So yes, the speakers are on the stage, but being able to share with them. And so that intimate setting really offers an opportunity for that transformation. For example, the last big conference that we did in Washington, D.C., I watched that happen. One of my speakers never spoke on stage until that day. And afterwards, she was smiling from ear to ear. I did it. I finally did it. Thank you. And to me, the thanks was just her going up on the stage and holding the microphone. That I feel so grateful for because she graced me with her presence to come and speak. So holding that place and holding that presence for someone and to be there, that's what gives me energy to keep going every day.
And I imagine the experience that you had as a ballroom dancer and the repetition of being in front of people, that's the thing that you're helping people realize because the more you do it, the less you feel nervous about it. I mean, I still if it's a huge room, I still, go in, I do my power pose, which people can't see, but I'm doing my Amy Cuddy power pose and I'm taking up space for 2 minutes. It's very important, 120 seconds. I'm even doing it now when we're talking. I'm taking up space. People can't see this, but I mean, oftentimes I'm like standing with my arms out, to boost that testosterone. But for someone that's never done it, it can feel really daunting that first time and you're looking out and you're waiting. And even people that have done it a lot, there might be that moment where I might walk on stage and I start talking fast or something. And then I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Like, slow down here. Let's go. So it takes that repetition and doing it over. So was she encouraged to then go and do it again? What was her next step from that? Was she like, okay, now I can do it?
That's exactly what it was. She was working with a coach who told her, "You've gotta do this, keep doing it, keep doing it." So when she went back to her coach was so proud of her, and she said, "Okay, what's next?" And she's like, "I'm ready, find me another stage." But it was that moment of going, "I did it." And the thing is, she also somewhere inside said, "I know I can do it." And she stopped listening to the other voices that said, "I can't." And sometimes that voice within us is the one that is stopping us. So that's where some of that inner work of visibility has to happen as well. And I love what you said about the talking fast and the practice, because same thing in dance. When dancers know their routine, they speed up. They're like, slow down, be in the moment, listen to the music. So same thing when, you're speaking on stage, slow down, be in that moment. You're there to share your genius. People have never heard your words before. You might have heard yourself 20 times this morning say the same talk over and over again, but this is the first time for them. And so realizing that is like, oh, our words matter and other people have the opportunity to gain something out of that. So slow down. And my one other little tip is mess up. When we do ballroom dancing, I will practice until I mess up. I do not want a perfect last practice because the perfection will happen the next time. And I say the same thing with talking. Let that mess up happen. And then the next time you'll be right on and it'll feel amazing.
What a great way to end our conversation. I could talk to you all day about these things. I love this. We're going to definitely have to have another conversation about it because I want to hear more about all the things. If people want to go to one of your events or learn more about all that you're doing, where do they go to find you?
womengettingvisible.com. Everything is there. All of our workshops, our conferences, and even how to get in touch with me if you want to have a little one-on-one. I'm open for that. womengettingvisible.com.
Christina, I appreciate you so much for the way that you're helping women lift them up into this new way of speaking and getting visibility. And I think it's amazing. So thank you for shining your light out in the world. It's so important.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalie, for this wonderful opportunity to share and for your fantastic podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. I hope you felt as energetic as I did at the end of this conversation. If it gave you a sense of inspiration and ideas of what you can do to gain visibility, would you share it with a friend or colleague and rate and review the show? It's how others find us. And speaking of finding, if you are looking for women to share synergies in the second half of your career, we would love to have you be in her C-suite. Check it out at hercsuite.com. I want you to always remember that you matter. Keep shining your light bright. The world needs you.